Prime Minister Carney of Canada is going for the kill. He is not holding back, calling out and blasting Donald Trump after Trump's latest stunt. I'm gonna rename Lake Ontario to Lake America. Prime Minister Carney posting, the name Lake Ontario comes from the Wendat word Ontario, which appropriately means the lake is beautiful, the lake is big. The name is more than 400 years old, predating both the Confederation of Canada and the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America. We know that America is changing their trading relationships, their foreign policies, their national monuments, their hydronyms. Canadians also know that naming reality means calling it Lake Ontario, then, now, and always. A hydronym, from those playing at home, the proper name for bodies of water. A type of toponym is a hydronym. Then Prime Minister Carney announced that he will be heading to the European Union's State of the European Union, taking place next month in September. And he will also be addressing the European Union. He will be the first foreign leader, I think, ever to have that back-to-back position, showing up at the being invited to the European Union State of the Union as their honored guest, representing a new world order with a weak and isolated United States and Canada, EU, and others in the world with shared values and principles joining. And then you will have Prime Minister Carney the very next day addressing the European Union. Now, this line by Prime Minister Carney from just the other day really stung, as Scott Robertson, digital editor at the MeidasTouch Network, writes. I think that Natalie showed Grandpa this clip of Carney dunking on their icebreakers. And here was the clip where Prime Minister Carney says, yeah, Donald Trump's bragging that they have a handful of icebreakers. I think they have one. In Canada, we have 20. Watch what Carney said first. Let's play it.
The United States has a handful, and I'm being generous, of icebreakers. We have 20. Yeah, one. Yeah, I was being generous. Okay, I didn't want, yeah. I rounded up. They have a habit of doing that there. And we have 20. We're building the best in class across all classes with the expertise here.
And then Donald Trump was like, we're building 11. We're building 11 icebreakers. Dude, you have one right now. Canada has 20. Why do you lie about everything? Play this clip.
We bought icebreakers. They'd like to use them. We have 11 brand new icebreakers coming in. They'd like to use the icebreakers. They don't pay for anything.
And then, you know, Premier Wab Kinew of Manitoba, probably everybody's favorite premier, maybe David Eby. It's close, but everybody loves Wab Kinew. Wab Kinew react to Donald Trump renaming Lake Ontario to Lake America that nobody else is going to follow. Play this clip.
You know when like a rock band is really over the hill and you see them like in a casino playing some song from like 50 years ago? I think that's the part of Donald Trump's presidency we're at now. Like he thought he had a real hit, a real golden oldie with the Gulf of Mexico, and he's trying to bring back that. He's trying to play the hits for his base, but I think everybody here thinks it's a little sad and it's not his best work.
And then to show you how embarrassing and humiliating Donald Trump was, Donald Trump's like, the whole Canadian thing, play this clip.
And they want to be treated like a state, but they're not a state. But they want to be treated like they're a state. And so we just can't do that anymore. We lose on average over the last 15 years, $60 billion a year carrying Canada. So we just can't do it anymore. We love the people of Canada. I don't think their representatives do an appropriate job. Maybe they'll change. I really don't know. I mean, it doesn't make much difference. But we can't let the whole Canadian thing has been going on for decades, and it has to come to a stop.
Howard Lutnick then accuses Prime Minister Carney of manufacturing the controversy over trade so that Alberta doesn't secede from Canada. I mean, could you imagine this is what nonsense they are spewing? Take a listen to what he has to say. Play this clip.
It's manufactured. So there's the Sovereignty Party trying to run, and they're in the lead in Quebec. And so this was Mark Carney manufacturing something that would try to keep them from winning. And then you have Alberta has an independence resolution. These are elections in October. So he's making this a political thing for Canada. And my guess will be as soon as his elections are over, you're going to see a plane full of Canadian negotiators flying down and go, come on, we'll give it to you before your election. We're just being used by them, right? That's what happened. That's why it ended. It didn't happen for math. The math was sensational. It was a great deal that we shook hands on.
Now, just to show you Donald Trump's popularity right now, his overall net favorability of people who strongly approve is 13% in the country strongly approved. That's it. But Harry Enton took a look at Donald Trump versus Carney. Trump's approval, Carney's approval. Carney's got record approval, record high approval. Trump's record low approval. And Harry Enton says Trump is losing bad on tariffs. Here, play this clip.
President Trump is losing on tariffs. He is losing on tariffs. The cost for him is great declines in popularity when it comes to tariffs. Just look at this turnaround, Johnny B. Okay, voters on Trump and tariffs. Look at this. Versus Kamala Harris, he was trusted more by 22 points over Kamala Harris. Very much in the green, very much in the positive territory. Look at this drop now. His net approval rating down through the floor. The St. Lawrence River, 30 points underwater. What is that, Johnny B? That is a 52-point switcheroo. With independents, he's 60 points underwater when it comes to tariffs. John has the arms out like this because it's just one of these shifts that we have seen throughout the President Trump's second term, whereby the reality did not meet the perceptions or the hopes beforehand. Americans hate the tariffs, and they are taking their anger out on President Trump.
60 points underwater on tariffs?
60 points underwater on tariffs. Yes, I double, triple, quadruple check that. That is right. He is 60 points underwater on tariffs.
Okay, how with independence?
With independence.
When we're talking specifically about this situation with Canada, how about that?
Yeah, if you think the American people don't like the tariffs overall, what about with Canada? It's the same story. It's the same story. They hate them. I mean, just take a look here. Okay, net support, new tariffs on Canada. Overall, the net support, look at that. 33 points underwater. Again, the story with independents, the exact same thing. Independents hate them even more than the general electorate. 44 points underwater when it comes to the net support. So they don't like the tariffs overall. They don't like the idea of new tariffs on Canada, even more so. And independents, again, you gotta get the center of the electorate if you want to win in elections. And the independents, this has again been the story throughout Trump's second term, they hate it even more than the general electorate does.
So a trade war like this has two sides,
yes,
right? The president of the United States isn't doing well with popularity on this issue in the United States. How's the leader north of us doing?
Yeah, okay. So when it comes to the political cost, who is seeing declines in their popularity? Who is seeing their popularity go up? Well, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, came in 2025, and you look at his overall net popularity versus Trump's net popularity. Take a look here. Net approval of leaders in their countries. Mark Carney, look at that. He is winning. Mark Carney is winning. 2 thumbs up. That's what Canadian folks are giving Mark Carney. Donald Trump's net approval rating, look at this. 21 points underwater overall. And of course, there has not been a single poll in which President Trump has had a net positive approval rating overall since just before Liberation Day back in 2025, when of course there were all those tariffs that went into effect that the Supreme Court went adios amigos, goodbye, see you later. So all of this, a great political cost for President Trump. He is losing. Mark Carney, on the other hand, north of the border is winning, which makes it a little bit unlike hockey, however.
Yeah, in this one case. In that one case.
We're going to take that. America still rules.
I will say this. The Canadians know this. When they sit down, if and when they sit down at the negotiating table again, they know this.
They know that President Trump is playing from a weak hand and Mark Carney is playing from a strong hand, and that is why they have walked away from the table.
Take a listen to some of this commentary in Canada. Tom McClare, let's play it.
But he's becoming a caricature of himself, sitting there at the White House desk in the Oval Office with a pen, writing Lake America. It is so mindless and childish. It's almost embarrassing. Although Trump himself seems to be unembarrassable, those of us watching say this is the leader of the most powerful nation in the world. And he's actually doing that, taking out his little Sharpie to change the name of the lake.
Scott Reed. Everybody loves Scott Reed over there. Play this clip.
Does the U.S. have any pull in renaming lakes in Canada, Scott?
Sure. And they can rename Mars Donald J. Trump land. No. I mean, I don't know if there are agencies within the United States that feel sufficiently under the thumb or bullied and bowed by Donald Trump that they will have to redesign their maps. But of course, it doesn't have any effect. And, we haven't seen anybody in the real world refer to the Gulf of Mexico as anything other than the Gulf of Mexico. It's boorish, but it is also bullying, and is an indication for those who've been watching carefully and with some hope that, well, maybe there might be some possibility we could get back to the bargaining table, that we could get better terms, that we could get into a constructive dialogue. Doesn't look like a constructive dialogue is coming anytime soon. The occupant of the White House is, in the middle of what looked like a series of grade 6 party jokes.
Charlie Angus. Everybody loves Charlie more than Scott Reed or more than Tom McClare. Sorry, guys. This guy leads Midas Canada, Charlie Angus. Charlie Angus is a hero. He's a legend. Here's what Charlie told me when I spoke to him before.
There is an element of the Fuhrer bunker around him right now as things are starting to fall apart. He has said on multiple occasions that he thinks he should be able to arbitrarily move the border. Move the border 50 kilometers, he said at one point, maybe 100 another. That's the Great Lakes. So you arbitrarily move the border. That's an invasion. That is a statement that we will now just have a provocation and do something to take your country. And so we see the statement that he made on Lake Ontario. It's very much talking about why it belongs to the United States. It is part of that threat. We are treating it sort of as a joke, but I think most Canadians fully understand the nature of the threat. This is why Canadians are very focused, talking all the time. People are, peaceniks I've known my whole life are talking about defense here. I think the one thing that's stopping Donald Trump from doing something that reckless is that he's kind of spooked by the determination of the Canadian people.
And then more from Charlie Angus right here you can hear for yourself.
The U.S. Embassy in Ottawa is actively undermining us. Pete Hoekstra, the ambassador, is actively intervening and in our nation's affairs. This is why the petition to have him expelled and to call for hearings into U.S. interference, because we see these patterns across the Americas. They don't see us any different than what they're doing in El Salvador or Colombia. They see us as a place that they can interfere and undermine and threaten and break up.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Appreciate you all for watching. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, if you want the full story, how democracy got here and how we take it back, pre-order our new book, WTF America, today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.